jump on. We had an incredible response on Sunday. We actually had 3 people, man, give their life to Jesus Christ on Sunday, which is awesome. I hope you're all celebrating. Hit the love button right there, so we can celebrate together. So jump on here. Let's talk for a little bit. Again, at the end of this, we are going to do some Q&A. I actually have Maddie here with me tonight. She's going to come up here and do some Q&A with me, answer some questions about marriage or whatever it is you want to ask. It's totally up to you guys. You can do that a few ways. You can comment below questions that you have through the process. You can text 843-353-1600. You can, maybe you're watching on YouTube or on the website. You can post those in the chat room there, and we'll be happy to, hopefully, at the end of this, get to some questions and answer some questions. And last Wednesday was phenomenal. It was great. And so today, I want to continue in this thought process of what we're dealing with. It is unprecedented, the stress that has been placed on the family in today's world and today's society. The community is changing quicker than we can get a grasp on. And so how do we as the church approach it? What is my advice inside of marriages that are dealing with things that they've never had to deal with before? And so that was kind of my thought process heading into tonight. And so I'm going to talk for a few minutes, and then, like I said, I'm going to bring Maddie up here, and we're going to answer some questions. So Genesis 1:26, this is the story of Adam and Eve, the creation, experience. And so in Genesis 1:26, God says, "Let us make man in our own image, according to our likeness, and give them dominion over the fish and the birds and the cattle and all the earth and every creeping thing." So God creates man in his image. In the image of God, he created him, male and female. He created them. And God blessed them. And he said, "Be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth, subdue it, have dominion over it." And he goes through again and tells them what to have dominion over. And then in verse 31, God saw everything that he had made, and indeed it was very good. And the evening and the evening and the morning were the 6th day. It was such a great day. God creates this beautiful image of himself. He puts it on the earth. He says, "Be fruitful and multiply, subdue the earth, have dominion over it. You rule over every living thing. You're in charge. I've given you the herbs and the fruits and the veggies and the trees and the birds and everything that you could want. It's yours. Go, take it, eat." And the Lord says, "This was very good." Then Genesis 2:18. Okay, stay with me here in this process. The Lord says, "It's not good that man should be alone. I'll make him a helper comparable to him." So out of the ground the Lord formed every beast of the field, every bird of the air. He brought them to Adam and see what he would call them. And Adam couldn't find a helper or companion for him. The Lord calls him to fall into a deep sleep. Verse 21, "And he took out of him one of his ribs, and he closed up his flesh. And the rib that the Lord took out from him, he made into a woman, and he brought her to the man. And Adam says, now this is bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh, and she'll be called woman because she was taken out of the man. Therefore, man shall leave his father and mother, be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. And they were both naked, and man and his wife were not ashamed. And the men said, hallelujah, that they were both naked." Anyways, move on. The perfect couple, the perfect situation, dominion over everything, living in paradise. They were literally made for each other. I know you think, oh, me and my wife were made for each other. They were literally made for each other. No other human on earth to distract them from each other. No other woman walking in the field to catch Adam's eye. God literally gave her to him. They were one flesh. It was absolutely perfect. You guys are, I know you think perfect for each other. You have the perfect life. People are looking in, and financially things are good, and passion is high between you guys, and the house is clean, and the kids are well behaved, and everything is on time and doing well and looking good. And what could go wrong inside of this perfect relationship? Well, how about the coronavirus? And all of a sudden you're losing jobs, and you're having to homeschool kids, and you're quarantined, and you're rationing out food so that you have enough to get through this process. And even in the perfect world, marriage is hard, right? Even in the most perfect of circumstances, marriage is very difficult. It is one of the hardest things that you'll ever do in your life is to be married and have a healthy, beneficial marriage. And so even inside of the perfect situation, in Genesis 3, the continuation of the story, so in Genesis 2, God creates them, puts them together, and we get to Genesis 3 where they're tempted by Satan, they're tempted by the enemy, and what was once perfect now all of a sudden falls apart and turns into this curse, right? Eve eats of the fruit, and then she gives it to Adam and says, Adam, take this. And then all of a sudden God comes out and Adam's blaming Eve. He's like, that stupid woman you gave me, and Eve's upset. And all of a sudden there's this huge fight inside of the relationship. And things were going so well. Things were created to be so perfect. What in the world could have created this tension, this situation? What in the world could have ultimately turned husband and wife that were created for each other, that were perfect for each other? What is it that could have turned them against each other? The one person in your life that should be standing there by you the most is now the person in your life that you're finding yourself with boxing gloves on, taking shots at each other. Maybe for you it's with kids or with finances or decisions inside of this time, with friends, or maybe some other area of your life. And now you guys that seemed to have everything together a few weeks ago, now all of a sudden there's a little bit of division that has stepped into your relationship and started to try its best to separate you. Maybe it's over how the kids should be taught. Maybe one of you want them to, hey, they should sleep in a little bit, and the other one is saying, nah, they get up early and stay on schedule. Maybe it's what you're divided a little bit on how money is spent. What wasn't a big deal a few months ago now all of a sudden seems so gigantic because of the ripples that are happening inside of the finances of our culture. Maybe for you it's the production around the house. You're frustrated because projects aren't being accomplished that once were neglected, and there's just a little bit of a divide. Maybe for some of you it's the thought of going out of the house, and one of you are thinking it's no big deal, go out, do whatever you want to, and the other one saying, no, stay in, we got to be quarantined. And you're getting to a place where what was once perfect, here's what I want you to understand, what was created to be perfect, what was created to have everything lined up where there should have never been any frustrations and any pain, all of a sudden that perfect marriage with one slip up created a divide inside of them, right? And so inside of our relationships right now, we're dealing with unprecedented stress, and we're having to bear burdens that we've never had to bear before. I want you to catch this, okay? I want my first piece of valuable advice to you to be this. You right now and your spouse right now are having to bear burdens that they've never had to bear. I love my wife more now than I ever have, but I also am dealing with stresses now that I've never had to deal with. I am trying my best to figure out how to do ministry without being able to have face-to-face contact with people. I'm trying my best. I am dealing with the physical, financial, spiritual ramifications that come from this virus and the effect that it's having on the church. I have people all around me that are losing their jobs, and family members, 3 family members inside of our church that are dying, and people in the hospital that are sick that we can't be there for them. Leaders and inside of this ministry that are in pain, and I can't seem to help them in this time. We might, as a ministry, miss Easter as a church family gathering together inside of this house, and it is my favorite time of year inside of ministry, and these things keep me up at night. Now I've taken on the new role of principal and lead teacher inside of a middle school and a high school. We have tech issues every single day. Today I had a little girl that had a breakdown. She literally had a breakdown on me, and I had to call her mother and say, it'll be okay, honey, you can do this. I'm constantly looking over my shoulder, trying not to catch a virus. I'm washing my hands every 30 minutes, trying not to let people too close to me, squirting my hands are pure dry from all the Purell I've put on them. Add on to that, my daughter wants another dog, and my son just turned 16, and We weren't able to do anything for him because of this. And I gave him my Jeep, and now all of a sudden I've got to look for something else, but I don't want to do anything until this virus passes. And my wife's birthday is tomorrow, and I'm a big over-the-top guy on special days and special occasions, and I'm going into tomorrow and can't do anything for her. I thought we were going to leave it on this camera. Let's leave it on this camera if we can. Can we not? Okay. We are both bearing burdens. Maddie and I both are bearing burdens that we've never had to bear before. Galatians 6:2 says, bear with each other their burdens, so to fulfill the law of Christ. I give young couples this advice all the time. You don't know each other in this situation. So you're young, you're married, you think you know each other, you know everything about each other, you love each other. But husband, you don't know pregnant version of your wife until she gets pregnant the first time. Wife, you don't know how dad version of your husband's going to be until he becomes dad version, right? So you don't know each other in every stage of life, which is why you have to grow together. You have to learn each other. You have to stay committed to each other and constantly grow with each other and learn each other. And so here tonight, my advice to you is you don't know the quarantine version of each other just yet. You're experiencing a version of each other that they're bearing burdens that they've never had to bear before. They're experiencing things inside of them spiritually, emotionally, physically, mentally that they've never had to experience before. And all of a sudden, they're bringing those things home to you, or you're having conversations that once were so easy and so perfect and so beautiful. Now all of a sudden, everything seems difficult and it's frustrating and it's dividing just a little bit. And you're thinking, what in the world is wrong? Why is my husband or why is my wife acting like this? And my answer to you is really simple. You don't know this version of them. You've got to stay committed, stay engaged in each other. Instead of looking at each other and say, why are you acting a fool? Stay engaged, stay committed to each other, and find a way to help bear each other's burdens. Maddie can't take the burden of the church off of my shoulders, but she can certainly help me care for people, and she has through this process. I just can't seem to find time to get to everybody, but she has helped to lift that burden off my shoulders by reaching out to people. She can't fix the financial stress that we're in as a church, or that people are in inside of families, but she can be thoughtful when spending money through this season. I can't lift all of the burdens that she's under through this season. I don't even know what all of the burdens she's dealing with. This is probably the first time that she's heard me tell my burdens through this season. I don't know the burdens that she's carrying during this season. And so I'm sitting here saying, I would love to help her carry them, but I don't even know what they are. Bear with one another. Help carry each other's burdens. Understand that this season that you're in, you don't know each other in this quarantine, dealing with viruses, dealing with the struggles of everything that's happening. You don't know this version of each other, and so find a way to bear with each other and to stay committed through this process. Okay, so here goes the story, the end of the story with Adam and Eve. God curses Adam and Eve, and they walk away from this moment. I would have been so ticked. I would have been like, man, I can't believe you. Because of you, now I got to go to work and I got to toil the ground and sweat for the rest of my life. I can't believe you. Adam walks away from this moment, this encounter with God. Adam walks away where he's been tricked and he's been fooled, and he blames Eve, and they have these hard words back and forth with each other. Adam has this moment with God, and then all of a sudden he walks away in Genesis 3:20. He walks away, and Adam calls his wife's name Eve because she was the mother of all living. In this moment, he could have allowed the frustration and the pain, what was once a perfect situation, the curse came in, created division. There was an encounter where they were throwing each other under the bus, and then we get to the place to where, okay, this is what the new normal of life is going to be. Here it is, and Adam looks at her and says, I'm going to honor you in this moment. I'm going to honor you and I'm going to call you Eve because you're the mother of all living. He goes out from that moment and begins tilling the land to provide for his family. Listen, guys, no matter how difficult life seems right now, no matter how frustrating the conversation that you just had with each other, you said some things you shouldn't have said. You've caused some pain through this process. You've created a situation where the family is divided because of what's happening. You're bearing burdens you don't even understand, and you're frustrated at each other, and you don't even understand why. And you've got to the place to where you're at this moment, and okay, this is the new normal of life. What do you do now? Honor your spouse, love your spouse, dust yourself off, work harder with what's been handed to you. Take the bull by the horns, take what has been handed to you, and work hard with that, knowing that one day this too shall pass. That's a good word, okay? Maddie's going to join me up here. I know we have some people watching. I have no clue how many. She's going to bring up the phone with me. Simeon and Angie are going to hopefully some of you have some questions for us. We'll be happy to answer them. We'll be happy to have conversation back and forth with you here live. My advice to you as she's coming and joining me and as they're getting things settled, my advice to you is this, one more time. You don't know this version of your spouse. They're dealing with burdens that they've never dealt with before. It's okay. It's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to be aggravated. It's okay. Find a way to make it through. This too shall pass. Okay? Hey, honey.
Hey.
Anything you want to say? Anything you want to add to that?
No, you do a great job.
What burdens you dealing with right now?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
That's different than normal. Like, what is it that you're going through right now that you just haven't been dealing with?
Kids. Teaching. I'm not even teaching. Jamie's teaching, actually. I do on Mondays and Fridays. But just seeing them struggle with something that's out of their control right now, it's a burden.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Hey guys, so thankful for all of you watching. Listen, you guys are awesome. I agree, it is so hard to get used to this type of lifestyle. So much we've taken for granted. I agree completely. I hope when things that we took for granted in the past are now taken away from us, hopefully we find a way to value it more once it's given back to us. Whenever my dad would take away my car whenever I was young, and if I ever got it back, I made sure to value it more whenever I got it back. And I hope this is what we all do as a culture for the church. I hope we value it more once it's given back to us. Questions? Anybody got any questions for us? I know I'm trying to go through them all right here. I know there's been quite a few people that have commented. Yeah. Love you all. Chris, happy birthday. Everybody make sure you tell Maddie happy birthday. Miss Brenda, great to see you. Miss Lynn, we love you guys. All right, questions. Here we go. We are not going to labor long. If you have questions, great. If not, we love you guys, and we will shut this down and see you on Sunday. Shameless plug for Sunday really quickly, 9 or 11 a.m. live services. Last week was phenomenal. It was great. It was different, unique, but it was really cool to be able to be a part of that with you guys and to celebrate what God is doing inside of this church. I know it's not what we wish was happening right now, but it's definitely the cards we've been dealt. So it's going to be great. Sunday's going to be awesome, okay? Thank you to the 81 of you that are on right now. We appreciate you joining. Again, if there's any questions, we will be happy to answer them. If not, say happy birthday to my wonderful wife, and I love you guys. God bless you. And I'm thankful we're able to be here just for a moment, just to remind you that you don't know that person. Hang in there with them, okay? Sim says he's got a question for us. Somebody's texting in. Okay. Where are you putting it up? On the screen? Or texting it to me? On the screen. Okay. Here we go.
What screen?
Drum roll, please.
There you go. What is the best way to diffuse an argument?
I'll
Is
let
it
you answer.
diffuse or diffuse?
I think diffuse.
Diffuse. That could be an argument right there if you want to say diffuse or diffuse, according to our 16-year-old son. What is the best way? I would think to not react right away, to think before you speak, because that's always generally one of the biggest issues is that you don't think or you want to bark back at somebody, and it just kind of turns into turmoil and issues, arguments. Think before you speak, especially words. Words can hurt, even though the old saying, no, that's the right saying, sticks
Sticks and stones may break
your
your bones.
but words will never hurt me. They do. They hurt people. So be careful what you say.
Yeah, I would say for us, arguments seem to stem from how we discipline our children, the decisions we make. Like, I'll give you a great example. On Friday, we were here passing out meals, and the kids were helping. And I got frustrated with one of the kids because they were giving me some attitude about me asking them to do something that I wanted them to do to help. And Maddie got frustrated with me that I was frustrated, and then I just kind of walked away because I know me, and I don't want our kids to see us argue and fight in front of them. We don't argue and fight much anyways, but I certainly don't want to do it in front of my children. And so I just kind of walked away, and it was a few minutes later, all of a sudden I saw Maddie getting frustrated at the same kid for the same exact reason that I was just frustrated at them. And so I would say to diffuse an argument, the best thing is to use wisdom in it. If it's a situation where you need to walk away and think and take a breath and a sip of water, great. If it's a situation where you need to handle it immediately because of the poor outcomes that may come from the future of it, I would say use wisdom in it. Make sure that you're thinking about not trying to win the argument, but truly about how to diffuse the argument. And if you care about diffusing the argument, then you don't care if you win, you don't care if you lose, you care if the marriage is healthy at the end of it. So that would be my advice, just making sure that you are wise in it and making sure that your marriage comes out healthy on the other side of the argument. Again, that looks completely different for so many different people. For
Right.
some of you who are fighters,
I'm not a fighter.
yeah, I am let's handle this now. And she's a
Leave me alone.
Leave me alone.
10 minutes. I'll be back, and it'll be fine, and it's over with.
Yeah, so we just got to get to the place to where it's okay. How can we make the marriage better? How can we make this healthy going forward and in this situation? So how to diffuse it? I think the answer would be use wisdom, and ultimately making sure that by diffusing it, and the word diffusing it would ultimately mean that you walk out on the other side healthy. And so by you using the word diffusing it, making sure that you're not saying, how do I win the argument, but how do I make sure that I get out on the other side with the marriage healthier than it was in the first place. What else? Can we do anything for the church? Great question. No. I continue supporting, continue being a part of these things, continue sharing these things, making sure you're staying active on social media. I sent out an email blast today. Hopefully you got that. I hope that I've done my job well. Continue to stay connected with the church. Continue to invite people to church with you on Sunday morning to watch, through social media with you. But as far as the interaction with people, we've had quite a few people that have said, hey, we'll come up to the church and help. We just don't want people up here. Pastor Tony is extremely careful with all of Kim's lung issues that she's having. So we just definitely don't want people up here. We love you. We will meet you outside. We will talk to you around the picnic table, but we'll stay 6 feet away from you, okay? So yeah, nothing really you can do for us specifically here.
What are some positive affirmations that I tell myself in the midst of feeling overwhelmed or burnt out?
Great question.
I have to constantly remind myself that it's just a day or it's just a moment and it too shall pass, like it says. Overwhelming is kind of the thing right now with everybody, I think. I think everybody's overwhelmed with jobs or trying to find toilet paper or with their children. And we just have to remind ourselves that this too shall pass. It is going to be okay. You have to just take a deep breath. Even if you have to step away from the situation, about like how we were talking about in the arguments, if you just step away for 5 minutes, compose yourself, and just know that God's got you. It's going to be fine. You will be fine. This whole situation, we are all going to be fine, and we're going to come out stronger and better in the long run. So I think it's just a manner of constantly reminding yourself, it's going to pass. We're going to be fine. We're going to get through this. We're going to be stronger. So that's what I kind of tell myself in my brain all the time.
Let me give some advice real quickly attached to that. I love, one of the things that I fell in love with Maddie is she was always this person. You know, no matter how bad or how good or how, that time of the month, whatever it was always, she was constant. She was consistent. She never got too excited, but she never got too down. She was just really always level-headed. And I think the scripture, especially through this season that we're in, godliness plus contentment equals great gain. I did a sermon on that 2 years ago or so. Godliness plus contentment equals great gain. I think sometimes that in seasons like this, being godly, finding contentment in it, you'll find yourself affirming yourself through that concept and coming out on the other side level-headed. So godliness plus contentment equals great gain. I tell myself that all the time, okay? How has ministry changed, or how has this affected my view on ministry this season that we're in? It has completely changed. We've had to learn how to pastor a church in a week, and it is absolutely bonkers how this has changed. Going forward, you guys know I've always pushed small groups, but I will push small groups even harder going forward. No matter what the future holds, at some point, it's happening all over the world that religious freedoms are being shut down. So if we're not careful, we're going to celebrate the masses and forget about what's truly going to be long-lasting. Small groups right now have been keeping the connection inside of the church, so I will put even more of an emphasis on small groups going forward. I think we have always been a really good steward of God's money here. We have always, it is one of the things that we have just tried our best to, just to be a good steward, man. God, you've blessed us with this. People trust us with this, so let us spend wisely. And I think that is something that through this we've learned that just because other churches or other businesses are acting a certain way, and it may look like you have the funds to do that, you better still be a good steward of God's money, so when times like this come, you're able to withstand the storm. And so those are two things that I would say. How can we take time as a husband and wife when the kids are with us all the time? Quarantine help, please. Yes.
Send them to bed early. Seriously. I mean, get them up early that day, earlier than normal, so then they have to go to bed earlier than normal because they're tired, and just spend that extra hour at night. Just the two of you, have a little date night picnic in your living room floor, put some TV on or music, just kind of hang out and chill. If you have a large enough bathroom, lock yourself in the bathroom. I mean, Yeah,
I would say our kids are past the age of being under us all the time, but God has been so incredibly faithful to us that we were never big on babysitters and things like that. We had our kids most of the time apart from family, or a few times having babysitters. So we always kind of had our kids there with us. We were just, I feel like a broken record sometimes. Make sure that whenever you have time, you actually take the time. It's amazing how many people want quality time together, but then when you have the time to have quality time, you instead turn on your favorite TV show and ignore each other, right? So make sure that when you have the time, you actually take the time to invest in each other. If you want to date night, plan it and say, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do this. Kids, here goes what you're going to do in this time. You're going to do this. Mom and I are going to do this, and we're going to set up. I don't know how big your house is, but we just got done living in 450 square feet. So got to be creative, right? So set up some rules, some boundaries, and say, okay, you're there. This is what you're doing. Make sure they're taken care of. Make sure they're safe. But ultimately, here goes the rules of the game. Me and Mom are going to be in here, and this is what we're going to do.
Yeah, even if it's like make the kids some pizza rolls and chicken nuggets and french fries and then put them at, the table so that they can't hurt, and then make you guys a special dinner for yourself, like chicken breasts and green beans and a salad, and just sit separately. That even helps too. Just something simple like that may help.
Yeah.
Yep.
Amen. Questions? Any more, Sim? Again, if you haven't connected to our email blast, please do it. Something new that we just started. I think Angie said we had 160 or so that have connected to it. If you haven't connected to it, reach out to the church tomorrow, connect with Angie, and make sure we get your email part of that. We're just trying to find as many different ways to connect with you and to share with you. So today was a really just heartfelt email from me. And if you missed that, reach out to Angie, and she'll be happy to email it to you tomorrow. The church number, 843-353-1600. We would love to make sure that you stay connected through this time, okay? We need you guys like never before, man. We need the church like never before. This is our time to shine, not our time to hide in the corner. This is our time to shine. We need you like never before. So stay connected, stay engaged, stay sharing on social media. Keep hope alive, okay? In a world where there is no hope, ironically,